Lord Captain?
Hi. I want to know more about you.
As you wish, Lord Captain.
Yes.
What would you like to know?
Tell me about yourself. What were you? Who were you before you became Theodora Seneschal?
I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperialis. No, used to be is not quite right. It was not simply a job. It was my calling, the essence of my life. I was proud to serve Lord Captain Theodora, but in my heart and mind, I'm still an officer of the Imperium.
That's actually interesting that he doesn't see himself as a seneschal so much as still an officer of the Imperium.
I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcement to the rogue traders' army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy and join the rogue traders' personal council. It was a difficult choice for me, but I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You do not need me to tell you just how remarkable a person Lord Captain Theodora was. I recognized her at once as a true leader and formidable creative force. One who had built a protectorate amidst the dangers and wildness of the Expanse.
I think it's interesting that he said a formidable creative force. I think that that's a really interesting way to describe Auntie. And I'd have to say I agree. Leaving the Imperial Navy is far from easy. Why were you permitted to quit your post?
You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own position and their relationship with Theodora. Well, the Lord Captain possessed certain contacts in the Imperial Navy. Contacts which she used to request help during the conflict on the border world. And which enabled her to make me an offer that resulted in my joining her retinue. The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing, or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound overly scathing or confrontational. Many in command were inclined to view my manner of speaking as unbefitting a person of my rank.
I can imagine, though, Auntie liked it. Because Auntie, if nothing else, was somebody that appreciated somebody that could speak their mind a bit. Knew their place, but also could speak their mind. The way that you talk about Auntie, I'm beginning to think you two might have been a little, was there something going on?
What?
Yep.
Lord Captain.
Uh-huh.
Any allegations of improper feelings or unsanctioned relations are utterly baseless and bordering on the insulting. Utterly baseless.
Utterly. Utterly, right? Utterly. Uh-huh. Do you have family?
I am a widower.
Oh.
I am a father of 4. And if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11.
Oh my goodness. That is...
My family lives on Dargonus.
Big family.
None of my children expressed any eagerness or aptitude for serving aboard ship. And I would hardly have insisted that they follow in my footsteps.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course. Lord Captain.
Oh wait, I have a question. Hold on.
Lord Captain.
You may call me by my first name if you wish.
I thank you for the honor, but I must decline.
Oh?
As a former military officer, I believe in the importance of order in all things, including the chain of command. You are the Lord Captain, my direct superior. I am not prepared to address you in any way other than as regulation dictates.
Okay. I just thought I'd put it out
Lord
there.
Captain.
Because it's true. You can if you want. My team can refer to me by my first name if it would make them happy. Because, Tess isn't... Tess is kind of growing into the role, though, of liking decorum. The tall, middle-aged woman stares straight ahead, her eyes vacant as she rubs the implant at her temple. Her collar is undone, one of the clasps is on the verge of falling off. Sensing your presence, Idira turns her head towards you and offers you a crooked smile, even as her eyes look straight through you. Did you know Auntie well?
None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. She told me from the off that if I ever listened to anything in the warp about her without her permission, I'd be going out through the airlock. I'm not an idiot, so I never stuck my nose where it didn't belong. Only when I was asked. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that she's gone. Lady von Valancius gave me everything I have. She opened the stars to me and the paths between them. I still think I can hear her voice.
Things are a bit strained between you and Argenta. Is that to be understood?
The little sister is afflicted with her own set of voices. Ones that whisper to her about corruption and heresy. The silly girl doesn't realize that if she wants to find the source, she needs to start by looking in her own head.
Oh! No. That's kind of implying here, though, that some of the heresy that Argenta keeps claiming that she's like seeing or finding and stuff like that, like Idira saying, some of it's in her own head, some of it is her, and she's basically like outwardly yelling at herself, but doing it through the guise of talking to somebody else, kind of thing. So like if she says somebody else is a heretic, well, maybe, or there's heresy there or something like that. The corruption, maybe it's not that person actually doing it, but maybe it's Argenta, trying to work it out herself or trying to ignore the fact that there's something brewing inside of her, kind of thing, which is actually really interesting. I'd like to hear, so where do you come from?
Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Koronus Expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen to a world like that. The very best.
Will you tell me about the planet?
It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win. From poison to Psykers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead, in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Look at me rambling on, Lord Captain. Pay no attention.
No, I love your rambles. Keep going. Finish the story.
It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you want to be entertained, I'm the woman for the job. I'll entertain you with one of the stories from my collection, no problem. But if you want to hear about the time I melted everyone in the bay next door, well, I just don't really want to go into the details on that one, all right?
No, that's fine. Listen, I respect that. What'd you do before you came on the ship?
Oh, I embroidered wall hangings in honor of our national heroes. I did the same thing I do here, Lord Captain. Divining. Our rulers prized the ability to see into the future. Every Psyker that could be found was worth a small fortune on Lyra. There's no such thing as a peaceful life on Lyra. People like me were especially sought after. They'd pick Psykers up wherever they found them, buy kids off their parents, even just abduct them. Take me, for instance. I got taken from my street gang. The older kids sold me when they noticed there was something off about me. The ruling dynasties had schools where they trained us and beat us black and blue. And then they packed us off to serve. Some of us held on for a long time, but others didn't last. Not everyone's as smart and talented as me, you know. Some people crossed the line and were out of commission before their time.
Idira looks at you expectantly, then, as though clarifying, she uses her hands to indicate a head exploding and laughs. How'd you end up in the rogue trader service?
Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. They were practically screaming. She had so much behind her, and plenty ahead of her too. As I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outsiders. And then Theodora's people came for me. They broke down the wall, butchered the guards. Also, I could tell them my warning in full. So I said the rest, but I didn't want to go back to my old life. And so I entered the service of the von Valancius dynasty.
I wish I knew what you had whispered to her. I wish you could ask that. Have you ever been off the ship?
A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are familiar ones. They almost feel like family. And if I want to hear about the nightmares off the ship, I can. After some Amisec. But don't go getting the wrong idea. If I have to, I'll follow you to the edge of the galaxy.
I love how ride or die she is.
Of course, Lord Captain.
I've never done this before. Can I hear your augury?
All right. Let's hear what they're whispering about you.
Idira laughs, her hands, rubs her hands together and suddenly freezes with a vacant smile on her face. Her head slightly tilted, you feel goosebumps appear on your skin and your collar begins to waver ever so slightly, as if moved by a breeze from a half-open door.
Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, rogue trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion.
That's Pascal. 100%. She's talking about Pascal. Among the blind, a red-robed sage seeks the answers to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Oh, that's really cool. Because it's true, at least from what I know of his story, it's not necessarily the question that he's asking. Or, like, it's not the answer, but it's the question. The question is leading to more questions, and that's what's going to make everything make sense in the end.
A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks in the scent of oil confound his nose. A chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his mistress? Or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord?
A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora. Scent of oil confounds his nose. A chain trails after him. I have a guess as to who she's talking about, but I feel like I'm very off there.
The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it?
The glow of dawn. Dungeon walls cannot contain. Huh. I have no idea what that one is.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild.
No, that's fine.
I can't make out a thing.
No.
I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
No, you're good. Can you tell me a story?
You bet I do, Lord Captain.
Idira becomes more animated and her expression turns slightly dreamy as she recalls one of her stories. Oh my goodness,
Okay,
it is a story.
So, we went to Footfall once.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Lord Captain Theodora went to Footfall a lot. But on that occasion, she took me with her for some reason. My day had gotten off to a bad start. My head had been yammering since I woke up, but there was nothing else for it. I had to go. We arrived at the place, and what a place! All the gentlemen and ladies dressed to kill, showing off their encrusted implants, all clustered around little tables. Well, turned out it was a gaming den. And not just any gaming den, but one run by somebody with deep pockets for people with just as much cash to splash. You should have seen it. People gambling away planets in a game of regicide. Anyway, so the Lord Captain wanted me to help her beat some guy. So I tell her, the chips won't land in your favor. You'll get a bad hand. Don't sit down at that table, your ladyship. But did she listen?
No.
Of course she didn't. If there's one thing she never lacked, it's stubbornness. So they sat down and the cards were dealt. I'm hovering around like I'm not involved, but I'm keeping my eye on things. And everything in my head keeps getting louder and louder. Anyway, it's a good thing I realized in time that my mind wasn't going haywire over a losing hand, but something else. I made some excuse to drag the Lord Captain up from the table and took her away from that place. And a few minutes later, the room where we'd been... It turned out some wise guy had the same bright idea to bring a pet Psyker along with him. One of those ones who just scuttle around in Footfall's underbelly. And the Psyker just freaked out, I guess. After all the commotion, people went to see what happened in the room. And they'd all gone for each other's throats.
What?
Literally. With teeth.
With teeth?
And I think they completely detached that asteroid from Footfall and pushed it off into open space so it would head off toward the local star.
Okay, I am ridiculously obsessed with the fact that she had a story for us. I kind of
Of
hope...
course. Always at your service. Whenever you need me.
I sincerely hope that we get more stories down the road. So is that... I think we've checked in with everybody. Oh my gosh, that was so good. I love the interactions. Okay. Now, let's go. Let's go to prison. That's not something you say every day, but still, you know what I mean? Let's go. We gotta go here, right? This is this. Actually, first, let's go here. We can offload some stuff. Oh, Victus, how you doing? I've missed you. There's some commotion on the officer's deck. The lady navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where our uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should find out what... Okay. What is going on? I just want to go and do the stuff. But everybody needs you. Is this what it's like to be rogue trader? Yes, 100% yes, this is... Okay.
Lord Captain.
Hi.
My apologies, I did not notice your entrance.
Lady Navigator is engrossed in pursuing the dusty tome, which appears to have been neglected by other officers, be it because of sloth or dullness of mind. When you walk closer, Cassia looks up at you, starts and hides a withered book behind her back. It pleases me to see you adjusting to life aboard the ship.
Compared to Urak 5, your ship is a boundless world of unfamiliar hues. And yet, the abundance of bright colors can at times be wearisome on the eyes. The bridge and the decks are so clamorous. In my search for a place of quiet, I was fortunate to come upon this islet of serenity filled with rare tomes and practically devoid of color.
The events that took place on Urak 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you well?
One should not underestimate the navigators of House Orselio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
Her response is reserved and pointedly decorous, clearly intended to create a distance between you. I hope you've had ample time to calm yourself and your powers.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis Nobilite.
Oh, it's nobility.
But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting.
Huh? Your only attendant is your valet. Do my servants not measure up to your standards?
No. It is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is well accustomed to my whims and preferences.
That's fair. Cassia cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, and then awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes the topic of great gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising, then, that she prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks. I see you're fond of reading.
Oh, this. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves, and I must say, it has caught my eye. Its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing. Urak 5 had a vast archive of its own, of course. Although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works.
She gently brushes the dust off the cover with her thin, clawed hand, her eyes filled with longing after reminiscing about her lost home.
Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying? You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I. I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for a navigator to conduct herself.
Frightened by her own words, she covers her mouth. Cassia covers her mouth, pales, blushes, and then pales again, hides her face behind the cascade of her snowy white hair. You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad. It's just as natural to share them with others. I would ask you, no, it is indeed difficult. No, oh my gosh, 3 no. No, you have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad, and it is just as natural to share them with others.
Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station, of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here?
I love the primness of her expression cracks, revealing a great wariness beneath, like she's tired and she's grieving and she doesn't understand that she's grieving. Like, it's really interesting to think, though, that she's one of those people that, because, like, as we grow up, we watch the people around us, society, our families, our parents, we watch them grieve, we watch them happy, we watch them upset, we watch them just kind of even, we watch it all, right? We learn emotion, we learn what these emotions mean and why they happen from a young age just through observation. But I don't think anybody's ever shown her anything of it. So she doesn't understand that she's grieving right now. And it's so interesting to think of that, to think that she's somebody who hasn't experienced loss in quite this way before and doesn't even know that she's grieving or how to grieve at all.
At the same time, I find myself overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls, and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that await beyond, but my delight must seem childish to you, surely. In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
No, I mean, amusing in that it's sometimes adorable to watch somebody else get excited by something as they're growing and learning and stuff like that, and they found something new and now they're excited by it, and that's amusing, not in a like ha ha ha, but you know what I mean. But I think we're gonna go with I understand what you're going through. My own life has been turned upside down not too long ago.
Indeed. I did not know. That is to say, I could not have known, as it is the first time we are speaking in a circumstance so private. My word, when I found this place, it was so full of officers. Why did they all leave?
Perhaps they didn't wish to disturb you.
Or because my presence offends them. Then I must take my leave as well. I am due to inspect the Sanctum Navis after the communion ritual and prepare the chamber for the upcoming warp jump. Thank you for your company.
The poor thing. I like it that... Wait! I'm on my ship. In a place that isn't... Oh, I didn't think I could explore my ship like this. This is... We fought here! So glad we looted the crap out of this place, because look at the loot is gone. I'm so completely in love with how much companion interaction we're already getting. Like, we've just started. We're like just barely into Act 1. Unlike we've had a scene with Argenta, Cassia, like we're learning so much about them. Like, I don't know. This feels like it feels really good. I don't think I ever saw that scene in particular on, I don't even know if it was in early access. So the fact that we get to have it now is so good. I do like that there's like stuff from chapter 1 that either because I played early access or the early access beta, whatever you want to call it, earlier, that I didn't get to experience, or and like it might have gotten added later, or they just literally were holding, like just hadn't implemented all of the stuff yet. So like I do like it that I'm still experiencing new things, if that makes sense. Okay. So can I just go anywhere on my ship whenever I want? Or is it more a you'll be taken back? Also, the new load screens, like these load screens, are just top frickin' tier. They're so good. I love the little candle. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this candle. Okay. 97. Let's see where the... Like, I'm curious to see if this puts us, like, right back. Okay. So, okay, so this is it. So it's only you could go back there when they deem it an appropriate time, like when there's this scene, kind of like what we have with our dentist thing. Okay. Now, is that our ship? Kind of insane how the ships look. Okay. Off we go. Oh, wait, no. Here. Victus, every single time I try to get to this one place. What can I do for you? Sorry to disturb you. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wissarian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. Y'all, we are never gonna make it to this.